both a realist and a survivalist that knows the value of being kept well informed during turbulent times. What's happening in the United States has created a negative ripple effect across our planet's countries. No one in their right mind wants to be surprised by a political tsunami battering at their windows and doors. The best way to protect yourself and your loved ones from what storm might be headed your way is to stay prepared. And the best way to start preparing yourself, in this case, would be to stay informed about what's happening in the world. That being said, there's a lot of fake political news out there created by deceitful members of opposing factions, by people who want the attention, the likes, and the follows, and more. How can you tell the difference between real news and fake news? Fact-checking should become people of the world's most well-played international sport. Every time false news is uncovered, that's one goal for the home team. Fact-checking is so much simpler than it used to be, as most information can be accessed online. If someone is making a claim, and you can't find any information about it from trusted sources, like government websites or global, impartial news channels, it might not be accurate. Also, most valid news reporters will either cite their sources in some way or display the evidence, like broadcasting an interview of a person confirming the legitimacy of the news, images of the incident being reported, or of a document in question. This article is about a damning report made by a woman on Instagram. The allegations made were incredibly serious and could affect people on an international level, if her story checks out. My name is Jake Holmes, and this is another segment on American history in the making, brought to you by the Starling News blog. Grim news was found circulating on social media recently. It concerned how on February 5th, the death penalty was allegedly reinstated in a way that includes giving the capital punishment to all illegal aliens found on U.S. soil, even those that hadn't committed any crime, or so the one presenting the news explained. The woman warned her viewers that a genocide event was beginning in the United States and asked people to share her post containing what information she had on the matter to everyone they knew.
Please don't scroll, because this is life or death, and I can't fathom what I just read that I'm going to show you from our Attorney General, and this is why they were making so much noise, because they were doing this in the background. Office of the Attorney General, February 5th, memorandum for all department employees, reviving the federal death penalty and lifting the moratorium on federal executions. There's a lot of things to read here, but we're going to come down to the paragraph with the highlighted part. The policy set forth in March 20, 2018 memorandum entitled Guidance Regarding the Use of Capital Punishment in Drug-Related Prosecutions is hereby reinstated. In addition to drug-related prosecutions, the policy shall also be applied to cases involving non-drug capital crimes by cartels, transnational criminal organizations, and here's the part, and aliens who traverse our borders and remain in the United States without legal status. Genocide. This is not fear-mongering. This is not over-exaggerating. This was literally dated 2 days ago. This is very real. This is the literal definition of genocide. You guys, genocide is the killing of a large group of people from a specific population. That did not say anybody who even commits a crime, because being here without a legal status is a civil matter. It's not even technically illegal. They're making all this noise because they don't want this to be seen. Please share this. Please make people aware. And if you are watching this video and you are scrolling by and you don't care, how privileged you must be to not have to care about something that doesn't affect your life. And if you are someone who doesn't care about something because it doesn't affect your life, you're not a good person.
She made a compelling argument. She even went as far as pressuring people into taking her claim seriously by stating, if her viewers didn't, they're bad people. The first thing you should ask yourself is, who is this woman? Does she work for the Office of the Attorney General? Is she actually qualified to interpret the information in that document? And is that document even legitimate? She didn't present herself. She didn't elaborate what her ties are to the office, or how she got a hold of that email. She didn't prove to us in any way that the document was legitimate. and no legitimate news outlet from the United States or elsewhere has reported anything of the likes. What news does exist on the web about Trump's executive order to have the capital punishment reinstated to include illegal aliens writes that it applies only to those who have committed serious capital crimes. Now let's go back to that paragraph from the memorandum that speaks about death penalties and how it now applies to illegal aliens found living in the United States. Based on how she presented her claim, it seems like it depends solely on the contents of that one paragraph with that highlighted section on page 2. As some would say, it's all about the phrasing. Here's another way to phrase that paragraph that in no way modified its context, just makes the information presented a bit more clear. In addition to drug-related prosecutions, the policy shall also be applied to cases involving non-drug capital crimes by A. Cartels, B. Transnational criminal organizations, C. Aliens who traverse our borders and remain in the United States without legal status. Do you see it yet? Whatever authority she might have to tell people how this document should be read and interpreted, it's out the window like a burglar being chased out of a home through his point of entry by a pack of well-trained guard dogs. Based on the information above, the only way any member of that Group C is getting put to death by the United States government is if they committed drug-related and/or non-drug-related capital crimes, like murder or terrorism. Nowhere in that paragraph, no matter how she presents the information, does it state that traversing the borders and living on U.S. soil without legal status has become a capital crime. It's important for everyone who's impacted by what's happening now in the States to know that living in the U.S. without legal status is 100% not a capital crime punishable by any kind of execution. If you're worried that you might be deported, or have seen this post and fear for your life or the life of others, please know that as per what Cornell Law School has in their documents about the matter, illegal aliens will not get sentenced more than 5 years in jail and/or pay a hefty fine for having lived on U.S. soil without legal documentation. Illegally living on U.S. soil is in no way any form of lawbreaking that can, on its own, be punishable by death. Trump and his administration would have to break and remake a whole bunch of laws in order to make giving the capital punishment to people just for living in the U.S. without legal status fly. Federal judges have already blocked a lot of the president's executive orders that were less damaging than the latter would be. If a federal judge can prevent an executive order from passing that would revoke birthright citizenships to get those millions of people deported, they can definitely block one that would allow acts of genocide to be committed on U.S. soil. Speaking of which, do you remember how the woman stated that this document was enabling something that was the literal definition of genocide? Let me share with you the definition of genocide as per the United Nations. In the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. As such: 1. Killing members of the group. 2. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. 3. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. 4. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. 5. Forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Even if there were dozens or hundreds of people tried and found guilty of having committed capital crimes among the undocumented individuals getting rounded up by ICE and their affiliates, this would not make it genocide, as the laws set in place apply to anyone of any national, ethnical, racial, or religious background who committed capital crimes on U.S. soil. In addition to the latter, reportedly, the first people that were affected by the reinstatement of those death penalty policies were U.S. citizens that had already been tried and convicted of having committed capital crimes. Was the woman who made the post in question deliberately spreading misinformation as a kind of shock and awe tactic of her own to get views, likes, and shares across various social media platforms? Or did she actually believe that illegal aliens without any criminal conviction are at risk of becoming the victims of genocide on U.S. soil? The Trump rhetoric that undocumented immigrants are animals that are poisoning the blood of his country is infamous on international levels. The rhetoric that the people who would be targeted by ICE are all dangerous, criminals, and the worst of the worst was even more common than Trump's latter Hitler-like view on undocumented immigrants living in his country. What if what we viewed in that video was an example of how U.S. citizens were misled by Trump into believing that everyone ICE is capturing are, in fact, all dangerous criminals that committed serious, capital crimes, like murder or others of the like? How much damage has Trump's seemingly incessant misinformation giving really caused his people's integrity? We live in a day and age where news like this can be passed as valid instead of immediately being removed, which is a very dangerous thing. That's the real news hidden within the lie. It would seem in the end that the woman presenting that memorandum to the world just wrongfully accused a whole lot of people in government of having legalized a form of genocide, which just adds fuel to a raging fire. I wanted to use this example in specific, as it was the most compelling one yet. In addition to that, since her article was spotted, more posts made by other people reporting that acts of genocide are happening in the U.S. have been noticed, none of which had substantiating evidence. The last thing people who are facing deportation need right now is added fear and chaos in their lives. What they're going through is tremendous hardship that doesn't need to be amplified by false news relating to how the U.S. government started a genocide event targeting them and other minorities in the country. But why make such outrageous claims? How could someone even think to pass news like this as reality? Before this post was made, the United States had already been red flagged as a country at risk of committing acts of genocide. It was flagged by various organizations like the Lemkin Institute for Genocide Prevention and Human Safety and GENOC1DE. Internationally, people have been warning that history might be repeating itself. Although many elements of our present can't be compared to Hitler's rule of Germany and what he orchestrated during World War II, the similarities are there. History is recorded not only for posterity's sake, but also to help people prevent similar military failures and atrocities from being allowed to happen in the future. Another reason I wanted to share this example above all others is because what that woman reported, had it been fact and not fiction, it would have affected the futures not only of individuals living without legal status in the U.S., but every single individual living in either Canada, Gaza, Greenland, or the Panama Canal region as well. Trump publicly stated in various ways, on various occasions, that he wants to either seize or annex those countries into the United States. His plans to do so are already underway. U.S. Americans were reportedly spotted in Gaza, there to take control of the Netzarim corridor. This reportedly happened shortly after Trump's announcement that he would ethnically cleanse, then claim the city for the U.S. As for Greenland and people from the Panama Canal regions, the president disclosed during an interview he wouldn't rule out using military force to claim those countries. In that same interview, Trump stated that he wouldn't use military force to claim Canada. He would resort to using economic force to get leaders to let him annex the country instead. The Canada-U.S. trade war is a wonderful example of that economic force, don't you think? The United States, Canada, and Greenland are all part of NATO, which makes the threats made by the U.S. president to take Canada and Greenland by any force unequivocally ludicrous. Part of NATO's philosophy is that if one of their members were to attack one of their countries, it would be equivalent to the attacker taking arms against all of NATO allies. NATO members would then be, to some degree, morally obliged to defend those of its countries being attacked by taking decisive action against their attacker. Preventing a world war before it has the chance to fully start is one of the most honorable tasks there are in the case of any political leader of any country on our planet. To the people of Canada, Gaza, Greenland, and the Panama Canal region, It's important that you all stay informed about legal matters surrounding those getting deported in the United States. It's also important that you take the time to verify that what information is provided to you is accurate. This concerns you too. No one knows that the future has in store for anyone. Heavens forbid the U.S. manages to claim any one of your countries, but if it were to happen, any country claimed would be governed by U.S. laws. Without any documentation allowing you to live on U.S. soil in your hands when, hypothetically, your country would become a part of the U.S., you would be, by definition, illegal aliens living on U.S. soil without legal status. Even if that isn't a capital offense at this time, it would still give the U.S. government the right to remove you from the country that once was your home by force, or place you in a detention facility like the one in Guantanamo Bay indefinitely, just as it's currently being done to other illegal aliens who cannot, at this time, be deported to their homeland. It hasn't yet been 2 months since Donald Trump was sworn into office, and already international disharmony and chaos within U.S. borders are rife. During such a short time, Trump has already allied himself with Israel and Russia. He's breaking alliances with his neighboring countries. He's started 3 major trade wars with Canada, Mexico, and China. He engineered the deportation of undocumented people found on U.S. soil, as well as the deportation of other legal U.S. citizens from the country's most persecuted minorities. He even openly discussed committing war crimes, the ethnic cleansing of the people of Gaza. That's just the tip of the iceberg. To the people of those 4 targeted countries, and to those who are currently suffering because of Trump and Musk's coup, or facing deportation, you are not alone. Your struggles are shared by so many people across the world. Lessons of our past teach us that, in combining our efforts, we can prevent the evils of World War II from manifesting on our Earth again. That being said, keep in mind that violence met with violence will only make conflicts grow. Doing that would be playing right into the devil's hands. Know that nations across the world, including those from different coalitions like NATO, the European Union, and more, they're willing to help prevent another Holocaust event from happening. Some are willing to provide refugee status and welcome asylum seekers within their borders. Others across South America are starting to accept people being captured by ICE who aren't from their country to save them from having to live indefinitely in facilities known for their cruel treatment of their prisoners, like the one in Guantanamo Bay. In addition to that, Trump would have to break innumerable NATO agreements and international laws in order to take by force Canada and Greenland. But that's only a cold comfort, as the felon president's already broken so many of his own country's laws to get what he wants, and intends to break international laws to take hold of Gaza. But don't despair yet. Between lawyers in the U.S. who are trying to impeach Trump again, those who are fighting immense legal battles in order to protect the undocumented from being wrongfully prosecuted and deported, and all others worldwide working to bring back law and order to the U.S. and international stability. If we all come together now, we could work together to find non-violent solutions to prevent the next world war from happening. Some that already exist are as simple as expediting criminal Trump and Musk trials. Another way you can pitch in: just keep calm and stay informed. Staying informed and keeping our information up to date is what will help prevent us from making the wrong choices during difficult times when so much is at stake. Otherwise, we have to face reality, adapt to it properly, do so quickly, then come together to put our conflict resolution skills to the test. The end goal: reduce conflict and prevent another genocide and/or world war from happening. The key to defeating Trump and Elon lies within the laws that were set in place to protect constitutional rights, to protect human rights, to protect personal data and finances, and to protect the citizens of all countries from having to live through another devastating world war. May justice prevail, because so many lives worldwide are at stake. Whoever you are, don't let fear and anger cloud your judgment. Don't let bad people get the best of you. And don't believe any information being presented to you as fact until you do your own research and find proof that what the person is saying is true. Our beliefs shape our reality of the world. False beliefs have as much potential to hinder as they do to harm. That's why people in power who use manipulation tactics and provide false information to the masses will always be far more dangerous than a bad politician who simply breaks promises. May your actions be devoid of conflict, as creating more conflict would be as beneficial as throwing gasoline on a raging fire to douse it. The cycle of retaliation also has to end, because far too much is at stake should anyone's limits be reached. No matter who you are or where you come from, be vigilant. Find ways to peacefully persevere. Never be afraid to ask for help, and be safe. My name is Jake Holmes. Thank you for watching this segment on American History in the Making.